What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tastes Like Music. Jason and Joe here. And today we are going to do a tier list of the biggest Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snubs. So these are all artists that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I tried to find like a nice top 50 to pull from and just use that, but I couldn't. A bunch of like top 20 snubs, top 25 snubs. So this is just like me looking at a bunch of different lists and pulling as many names as I could. I think we're at like 68 artists that we're looking at today. And I also believe that there's I think maybe some or all or most of the current nominees are on here as well. So perhaps not snubs for very long, but we will see. So I suppose what we are doing here is not only judging how much we like the artist, but also how much we think they legitimately should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So an S would be the artist that we most think should be in, and Fs would be the ones we most think are not, which may be slightly different than just ranking them by how much we like them.
Yes, we'll keep in mind our own feelings, but also the feelings of the rock and roll community at large and the impact and, the legacy of some of these bands, which is not something we usually do at all.
First up is the B-52s.
I, I would say for me, it's probably like a C because I don't really know. I don't know their legacy and I don't know like where they really fit in. Like I like them, I respect them, think they're cool, but I don't know.
I think they are critically well received. I think they are influential and they're interesting. Usually a lot of these artists where there's a big debate about should they be in, should they not be in. It's kind of like usually because there's some sort of split between like um, critical acclaim and commercial success. Either they were one or the other, but not both. B-52s, I think, are more critically beloved, but did have some legitimate commercial success. And we're actually, I mean, Love Shack was huge, still huge. Rock Lobster, you hear all the time still. So they may not have been like huge pop stars, but in their own way, definitely had hits. So I don't know. I think maybe like, I don't think they're a shoe-in. So
B?
yeah, maybe B.
Fine with that.
Next up is an artist we covered not too long ago on the channel. We've got Bjork. This is another one where sort of similar to B-52s, I think more critically beloved than commercially successful.
But still, I mean, decently commercially successful. And I'm surprised that she's not in. Is she eligible? I don't know.
All of these are eligible, yes.
Eligible? I think she will definitely get in at some point. I think she is a shoe in. So I would say S.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think both her and the B-52s are like very singular artists, no one else really. So in that way, it's like hard to measure their influence because like you can't really replicate what they do. Um, so it's not like there's a bunch of Bjork sound alikes. But yeah, I do think very influential nonetheless. Sure. And I like Bjork a lot, so we can go S. All right. New York Dolls. An interesting case of like not making very many records, I think is their maybe biggest hurdle.
Certainly influential. I feel like they're kind of like some of the old like 50s bands that they just kind of put in because they were influential and had one big enough hit that it was like, all right, let's just put them in. They're a builder. At some point, it's going to be like that for some of these 70s artists where it's like, oh, that was, 2000 years ago, it seems like. It was a whole different universe. And they only had one, good album, but man, were they influential and we got to put them in. So I would probably say like A for them. I think they'll get in.
It's good. Yeah. Alice in Chains. I believe Alice in Chains and Soundgarden are both here. Is Pearl Jam in? I know Nirvana's in.
Good question. They got to be in. People friggin' love Pearl Jam.
So it's kind of, I mean, I think there's definitely like a difficulty for metal bands to get in. And I think looking at the big four of grunge, the two more metallic and metal influenced of those four are still the two waiting to get in.
Yeah, that is. I mean, they also kind of self-destructed a little bit, and Pearl Jam's been together so long that they have to make it. They got the legacy. Nirvana was super influential, even if it's just like a supernova. But yeah, Alice in Chains is kind of metal. The Hall hates metal. It's tough. I'd probably say like B or C because I don't know if they're gonna get in.
I think they will eventually. I just
Yeah.
don't I just don't know how soon. Who are the nominees this year? Are they nominated? Soundgarden's nominated, aren't they?
No, they're not. Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, Cher, Dave Matthews, Eric B. and Rakim, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, Jane's Addiction, Kool and the Gang, Lenny Kravitz, Oasis, Sinead O'Connor, Ozzy Osbourne, Sade, and A Tribe Called Quest.
I think that's a horrible list of nominees. I mean, I was going through list after list after list of the biggest Rock Hall snubs, and a lot of those aren't even here. Like, why? How are those nominated ahead of like a lot of the stuff here?
Nobody knows. No
That's
one knows. They're
crazy.
sick of a certain type of people in the uh hall, so they gotta expand their reach a little bit before they let in the grungy stuff.
All right. Well, I do think they get in eventually. The other part of it though is like the amount of time they've been eligible and things like that. I don't necessarily feel like they're as big of a snub as some of the things here. So for me, I would probably say like B tier.
Sure.
All right, then we get A Tribe Called Quest. Always difficult to figure out which hip hop will or won't get in. Once the all the hip hop and rap acts started to become eligible, all the rock fans were crying like it's not even rock and roll. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They shouldn't. But I think we now have enough of an established, you know, trend where enough have gotten in that it's really more of a popular music Hall of Fame at this point, despite the name. So I don't think any of the hip hop on this tier list should be really excluded or thought of differently because of that, because we have an established sort of pattern of behavior.
So you're saying that they're gonna get in.
I don't know. How many hip hop artists do we have here? We got them, we got Eric B. and Rakim, and we got
De La Soul on there, Outkast,
Mary J. Blige, kind of R&B.
Mary Blige.
I mean, I think of all of those. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to hip hop. So,
I'm
uh,
gonna say yes, they're 100% getting in. Just a matter of when. Probably gonna be this year.
they are not. They're currently nominated. Yeah.
Yeah, I would very much assume that they'll get in this year. So I think it's foregone conclusion. Um, so that's what it's not a snub because they're gonna get in. Just throw them there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Sure. B feels good.
Yeah, it's not a snub because this is the first time they've been nominated, I think.
Next up, we have Bad Company, which I know you're not a big fan of. I like some Bad Company. So this is the thing. Like, I think when you used to look back at the list of snubs, it used to be ridiculous. It used to have Deep Purple on it. It used to have Rush on it. It used to have Black Sabbath on it, and it was like what it used to have Kiss on it. So like all these classic bands used to be on it. Roxy Music for a long time. At a certain point of like they've let all of those in. At a certain point, like at what point are you like just the B tier? I think, are we letting every band that was good and had some commercial success in? Are we just going to keep letting 70s bands in ahead of 80s and 90s? And I don't know. I think at this point, most of those 70s bands that didn't get in kind of just aren't Hall of Fame level. despite being good and despite having fans and maybe being able to still go out and sell out places and play big shows. So
I don't hate Bad Company. I just think they're extremely mediocre. And I mean, they have some good songs, but as far as a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, no, they would not even get close to my Hall of Fame. I don't think it's a snub. I think it's just decided that they're not as good as people want them to be or thought them they would be. So this is an F for me, not a snub at all. The correct outcome.
I agree. And I'm saying that not as someone who doesn't like Bad Company or think they're good. Yeah. You can't let every AOR band into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just because they sold a lot of records. Next up is Blur.
Put them in the Brit Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I don't know if they're ever gonna get into the American one. Does America care about Britpop enough to put them in? I don't know.
It's true. I could legitimately see Gorillaz coming up for eligibility and getting in before Blur.
Oof, that would be something. I mean, I'd probably I don't think they're a snub at all either, because even if they were had more of a shot, I don't think they've been nominated enough to be like some, oh my God, I can't believe Blur is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it would be a D probably for me.
Is their influence really that great even? It's like, what did they influence besides post Britpop? Next up is Blue Oyster Cult.
This is a snub for me.
They're an interesting band. I don't know. I don't I don't know their entire discography. They've always been weird to me in that all of their hits sound like different bands. They are heavily requested. They have definitely their fans love them a lot. I don't know. You think it's like big time snub? I think it's like C.
Okay, we'll put them in C. I'll withhold full judgment until we do their entire discography.
Next up, we got the Buzzcocks. For me,
I like them.
yeah, they're probably my favorite punk band. Them or the Ramones. Very catchy. I think they're cool. I like them. I just don't know that they had, at least here in the US, the commercial success to pull it off to really be considered a Hall of Fame act.
I'd probably put them in D, Blur. I wouldn't really let any punk bands in my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so
Next up is Devo.
no, they would not even come close.
I think Devo's more influential than than people realize. And they had one hit. Whip It was like really their only hit.
Was it a good influence? Probably not. So I'd put them in D or F.
You'd put them in D or F. I'd probably put them in C.
See,
I don't know.
it's
So
fine.
maybe we can go D. Uh, listen to their albums from 82 and I think 84. I think they have one in each, right? And they're pretty lousy. They're not very good records, but I also don't think those are considered their peak records. So yeah, all right, D's fine. Next up, Faith No More. We might be split here.
Well, they certainly influenced a lot of bad artists. I can't, I can't not say that. Rap rock and new metal and all that weird stuff. But I don't know, they're another interesting case. I think they were very influential, probably in a bad way. I like them a lot, but they had a pretty limited run. And I don't know if they're like a snub. Like I don't know if they would. Yeah, they might make my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but mine's pretty exclusive. So I would say it's like a C for me, C or D as far as
It's
snub goes.
it's like D or F for me. So yeah, don't if they were getting in, I would be like, what the hell are they getting in for? Flaming Lips.
Mm. Yeah, I don't even need to speak.
I like the Flaming Lips. Probably like a B for me. They're an F for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I would taking us totally aside of what I think about their music, I'd put them on the same level as like Faith No More as far as like their worthiness for a Hall nomination. And I think influence-wise, sure, but I don't think they have quite you know, the what's the word? The portfolio of things that would put them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The resume to get it.
We'll put them in D then. Next up is Graham Parsons. This is an interesting one too because
Hmm.
is he even rock? And like we've established it doesn't need to be rock. Like we've let hip hop in. Has any country artist gotten in? I don't think so. The country has their own Hall of Fame, and I think to this point the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has kind of left country alone.
I mean, he's rock enough. I mean, country rock. So I think he rocks enough to get in the Cosmic Country. That's an offshoot of rock and roll, I think. Does he deserve to be in? I think yeah. Is it like a huge snub to me that he's not in? I don't know. I mean, he died really quick. Like he did a whole lot between 1967 and 1973, 4 when he died. But I don't know. It's more of like a legacy builder kind of thing than like here's my resume of, multiple platinum albums and giant hits and, indelible classics.
Yeah, I don't see Graham Parsons ever getting in.
Yeah,
D,
I guess
F.
D probably.
Love Graham Parsons, but yeah, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame act. Husker Du.
Husker don't get in my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's an F. No, I mean they're very influential, right?
Are they? I mean, yeah, I that's what people say. I don't know. Are they?
I think so. I mean, they're another Faith No More, Flaming Lips kind of thing where it's like, yeah, they're very influential, but they don't have any big hits. They don't have any, classic albums. It's other than like the indie and the alternative fanboys.
Then we got the Jam.
Too British. Too British.
To me, that's like Faith No More, Husker Du, Flaming Lips, but they're also British, so probably F, right?
Yeah, sure, let's go with it.
Jane's Addiction.
Looking like another D for me.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching that would want them in the hall. I just don't think they did enough. Like too short-lived.
Yeah. As much as people love the Nothing Shocking and Ritual, De La Habitual, you can't just have two albums and get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I kind of agree.
Unless you're like, I don't know. You have to be so influential. And I know they are influential, but they were kind of, part of a bigger scene of alternative kind of metal, whatever, grunge, whatever they fit into. Not really grunge, but whatever.
Yeah, they were kind of unique in that window between hair metal and grunge. That weird in between couple of years where they kind of took from one and pushed it towards the other. But yeah, I just don't think they'd have a large enough body of work, at least in their prime. Then we get Love.
I feel like a lot of people want this band in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They were nominated recently. Are they nominated this year? No, I think they were last year or the year before.
I don't think I saw them. So they may have fallen off like a, Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds kind of thing. They're just not getting in. They've had their time and it's just over for them.
I've tried to get into Love. I know people swear by them and think that some of their records are like among the best of that era, and I've never really heard it. I don't really get it, so it's a D for me probably.
Yeah, it's fine.
Megadeth.
And they are the big two. Really it's Metallica and Megadeth when you're talking about thrash and Slayer. We'll say big three. Anthrax isn't getting in. So if you consider thrash to be, you know, a genre that has enough,
Sure.
whatever to get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they got to be in. But I don't think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will ever let Megadeth in the hall. So
You know, I
I
mean, I
do
think
not.
they're one of the biggest metal bands not in, right? At this point, I think Maiden will get in before Megadeth, but I could see Megadeth getting in eventually. That'd be like C for me.
Okay, it's fine.
All right, next up, Harry Nilsson.
This is all you. Make your case.
This is tough. I don't know. He's got hits. He had hits. He was influential, I think. The Beatles loved him. It's weird though because I feel like his legacy is strange in that he had this like moment of relevance where the Beatles said he was their favorite band. And then, he was hanging out with the Beatles. He was making records. Nilsson Schmilsson was huge. He won a Grammy for best vocal. And then he was like seemingly forgotten through the 80s and 90s, like nothing. People totally like, unless you were like a super like big music head, you probably might not even know who he was or like his name just like disappeared for decades. And I think there's been a recent resurgence of familiarity with his music. I mean, if we're ranking artists, he's my favorite artist here out of all of these. He's a top 10 artist of all time, period, for me. So I love him a lot. I don't really expect him to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame though. But that's I guess that's the distinction of what we're doing here. Are we saying like are the S tiers the ones that like should be in or the ones that we expect to get in? I think it's the ones that should be in. I think it'd be like A or B for me. I think he should be in. I do not expect him to get in.
I would say A then, because he should be in for sure. He had hits, he had influence. Um, yeah, it seems like he was just forgotten about completely. And I mean, has he been nominated ever? Like, has he even been like considered?
I don't think.
Like, it seems wild that he wouldn't even get like, you know, like the cursory, hey, here's a nomination. You're not going to get in, but at least we'll throw you a bone.
Is interesting. I kind of think of him in a similar way as Todd, and Todd did eventually get in. So maybe, maybe someday. Oasis.
To me, they're even less influential than Blur, but they had What's the Story, Morning Glory, which, one of the most popular albums of all time. It's still in like the top 10 all time in Britain, but I don't think it's a snub that they're not in. I think they're going to get in because they have somehow, you know, more cachet than Blur. So it'd
Yeah,
be like yeah.
same level, pretty much. I agree. Pavement.
Mm. I don't know what to think about Pavement. I don't like them. I don't know if they were influential. I don't think anyone really cares about slacker rock outside of like the slacker rock fans in, Rolling Stone and some of the mags, the rags. So I don't think it's a snub at all that they're not in. I don't think they're ever going to get in, and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, not a lot of commercial success. Critically beloved. For me, like a C. I think their influence is more felt than like a Blur and Oasis.
I don't think that at all.
You don't?
I think their influence on things people like and critically esteem things maybe, but as far as like music, they're much less influential than Faith No More.
I don't know about that.
You just hate the things that Faith No More influence, which is fine. Like I don't begrudge that opinion at all.
That's fine. We'll leave them. We can put them in D. Procol Harum.
Now they're prog, so they ain't getting in. And kind of forgotten about, I think, for the most part, other than their giant hit, Whiter Shade of Pale. they're a weird one because they had decent critical standing, I think, throughout the 60s. And then they've kind of just been forgotten about everything that came after Salty Dog and Grand Hotel. You never hear anything from those albums. You never hear them talked about at all. To me, they'd be like a C level because I think they probably deserve better, but they're not going to get in ever.
To me, they're a little bit like Bad Company, where it's like we let all the A tier prog bands in, and you're just kind of a step below. You're a great band. You have a lot of great songs. You're just not quite Hall of Fame.
Okay, all right. Throw them in there.
F, where do you want what you want
Eh,
them?
you can throw them an F. That kind of makes sense. Maybe they're not quite. But I mean, on the other hand, there's like 8,000 crappy alternative bands in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, you know, where Procol Harum ranks amongst prog bands, I think would be a lot higher than, you know, Foo Fighters rank amongst
Yeah,
alternative bands.
that's a
So it's
different
really, but that's fine because they're not going to get in because they are prog and it's just not going to happen.
that's a different discussion. That's our ranking of the bands that are in the Hall of Fame
Yeah,
that shouldn't be. Queens of the Stone Age.
that's tough. That's tough. I don't think they're going to get in.
They
I don't know if
they are
they,
not a Hall of Fame band to me. I don't think.
they're the only good like band of their ilk left. To the fact that they're carrying rock and roll through a just wasteland of rock and roll shouldn't be overlooked. They had some decent radio hits. So I'm gonna say to me they're like a C, but I'm sure you'll disagree. I think just for their era, they were sort of an outlier as far as rock and roll goes. And who are you gonna put in White Stripes and then
Just you just
who?
keep you just keep putting in the 70s bands.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think they get talked about so much and get like propped up so much because they're the only band. But at the same time, it's like they might be like a festival headliner, or they might be like, playing big shows, but like I've never really felt that their fandom is that big. It's always
yeah,
felt like it's always felt like the praise for them and the attention they get outweighs their actual fan base.
could be, could be. I mean, I don't think it's a snub at all that they're not in.
No,
So,
I'm going D.
okay.
Maybe Procol Harum should be D too. That's fine. All right, Susie and the Banshees.
They should probably be in, right? Just for influence, not for their talent or singing ability, but perhaps influence they should be in. And that it feels like a snub to me because it feels like a band that should be in just based on, what they've did, how much they've influenced people. The genre that they were part of always gets extra critical love. So I feel like it's kind of a snub. I'd put them in B probably.
I don't think I would go that high. I don't think. I mean, as far as like mainstream hits go, they didn't really have much.
It's true.
Uh,
At least not over here. I don't know. They might have had more in Britain. Maybe they're just a British Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band.
it's hard to measure their influence too. I feel like that whole goth, post-punk goth thing was all happening at once, and it's like, were they more influential than the other bands happening at the same time? It's like kind of one thing. I don't know. Maybe because you have a female singer, they feel more influential. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I would not probably go higher than C.
It's fine.
Slater Kinney. No. Yeah, I feel the same. Not a Hall of Fame band at all. Sorry. Sparks.
I don't know enough Sparks to make a call on this. Do they have any hits in America?
Not like, no, not traditionally like big hits, I don't think.
Anything in, and they even have a charting song in America?
I don't know.
And I feel like you need at least a charting song.
I don't know if that's true or not, though. There might be some acts in that never charted.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but not with I don't know, a history as long as Sparks. Okay, they had two songs on the Hot 100. Cool Places with Jane Weedland in 1983 and I Predict 1982. So two on the Hot 100.
How were
Peak
they?
of 49.
49?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Cool Places and I Predict. 49 and 60 for I Predict.
So no top 40. It's it's tough. It's kind of like, their visibility has risen dramatically in the last 10 years. So a band that not a lot of people knew about. They were very much a cult act until recently. They're cool though. I like their early stuff a lot. Uh, is it Hall of Fame though? I feel like they have probably enough momentum to eventually get in at this point, but I don't know that they should or not. Maybe C is where I would put them.
All right.
Next up, the specials.
F.
No, no, yeah, they're not getting
Move
in.
on.
Sorry. Steppenwolf.
F.
I agree.
Lousy.
Some big singles, but like
Yeah.
I feel like all their other stuff is not that good. Like their singles are dramatically better than the rest of their material.
Yeah, I mean, if you're from the late 60s with a classic song like that and people don't even like mention you for the hall, like you're just not getting in. Like your time has passed. Let's move on.
STP.
I don't think they're ever gonna get in because they have no critical standing. People just hated them, which is stupid. Like they're the most over-hated band of the 90s. Had a bunch of hits, had everything that you'd want for a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, but they're just not going to get in because
Does
just
that make them a bigger snub though? Like they've been
yes.
critically snubbed all along, right?
Oh yeah, they'd be A or S for me as far as snub. Maybe B.
See, I think they're a better band than they are an influential band. I don't think they're very influential.
Oh, I suppose so. I mean, they sort of took grunge and remade it for a more mainstream audience. And you could say that a band like Creed copied STP more than anybody else. And uh, they're very influential and probably, somebody like Nickelback sounds a lot more like STP than they do
Well,
any of
you're
the
not really
forebears.
selling it, Joe.
No, F it is.
Um, I don't know, C or B maybe. I think they should be on the same level as Alice in Chains probably. So,
Okay, that works.
okay, Stone Roses.
Too British.
Too British didn't release enough music, I think is the main
Yeah.
problem.
I don't think it's a snub at all. I mean, they were influential, but for what, Brit rock?
For
We've
1 year.
already, yeah, we've already said Brit rock wasn't that influential. So the band that influenced that, it's not influential at all.
Television.
Marky Moon's great, but anything else? Like I'd probably put in Tom Verlaine, just himself, more so than Television, the band.
Uh, I don't know. I think this is kind of a unique one where it's like one massively influential record. Probably C for me.
All right,
Although
fine.
not entirely different from the New York Dolls, though. We got the Dolls way up at A, but
I feel like the Dolls influenced more things that was popular. Like Television, again, the things they influence are very critically beloved, but like they're a critical band. I think New York Dolls is more the people.
next up we've got War.
Hard to tell.
Yeah, another one with kind of like Blue Oyster Cult, where to me all their hits sound like different bands. like Spill the Wine, Lowrider. Like that's the same band.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're a weird one. I don't know them that well either. So it's hard for me to judge their influence. They had a bunch of hits. I think they were influential, but I could be totally wrong.
yeah, I don't think they're Hall of Fame worthy, really. I'd put them probably in D. Warren Zevon.
I feel like he is a snub as much as I don't love him that much. And I really only think he has one great album. I think he's beloved enough as a songwriter, and he had enough hits, maybe, at least songs you still hear on the radio, to warrant him getting in.
Yeah, he should be in for sure. I think he's A tier, at
I
least.
think the fact that he's a solo artist has more, like, puts him higher than like a band because of his, I don't know. I feel like solo artists have a little more influence outside of just the music they put on like their own records. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, Ozzy as a solo artist. He nominated, right, this year?
Hmm.
It's tricky. He's got a lot of hits as a solo artist. Um, Kind of impressive that he was actually able to do that after Sabbath and being kind of a mess and still managed to put together a pretty solid career. Randy Rhoads, big part of that. I think you could almost put Randy Rhoads in the Hall of Fame for the influence of his guitar playing. Does Ozzy get that credit and get in because of it?
I think that they're intrinsically linked. So I would say, I mean, I don't know if it's a snub because I think he's going to get in, and I think he should be in, and I think influence and popularity, despite him being a metal adjacent, he's a metal act, so that's like negative 1,000 points, but I think they'll get him in because of his solo discography, but because of Randy Rhoads. I think it's a slam dunk.
Like B or C, I think, right? Or do you think less because he's going to get in? Is he going to get in, though? I don't have confidence in him making it this year.
Really? You don't think so?
Maybe.
I'd put him in B, I think, because he should be in already, but
Weezer. This is hard to
that's a
talk
tough
about. I
one.
don't even know how you approach this.
I don't know. Two highly influential classic albums, couple more, good to very good albums, and a whole lot of crap. Just miles and miles of just garbage. But they're still going. Like, they're one of these bands, I think, that from the era that they're part of, they're gonna get in. And they probably should be in, even though they just have so much crap.
I think they will, and maybe they should. But at the same time, I don't feel like, how is Weezer not in? Like, um, so I don't think S or A really. Maybe B. Wire.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're not going to get in, and I don't think that they're really in the conversation. The cool kids like them, so I guess those people are upset, but it's just not going to happen. Barry White.
Don't think he's gonna get in, right?
Yeah, I don't see
I
see
mean,
it
probably
happening.
yeah.
I don't think that's really a snub even. XTC.
You tell me. You're the expert.
I don't know that I can even tell how popular they are. I was shocked when I did the solo listography of XTC. I did not expect it to do much, and it did pretty big numbers for where the channel was at the time. And it seems to be across the board, just like XTC content does extremely well. They have apparently a huge fan base. They're not really big or well known here in the US. Hall of Fame, like, I don't know. Don't really think of them as like a Hall of Fame worthy act. Although I love them, I think they're great. Maybe like a B or C.
Good
Uh,
enough.
We'll say B. Share.
F.
Yeah, that's fine. Chic.
That, I feel like that's a snub. I know disco gets zero respect, but they're ridiculously influential. I mean, Nile Rodgers still doing stuff into the 2010s, Daft Punk. I mean, they invented that sound, so uh, I think that's an A at least.
I disagree. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe I would put them in like D. You said A at least, so we'll pull it up. C or B. We can go B, I guess.
Feel like they're gonna get in too.
They've been nominated a few times. Are they nominated right now?
No, maybe they won't. It's passed.
Pantera.
Uh, Good band, cool stuff. Cowboys from Hell rules, but that's an F.
Yeah, I agree there. Especially with all the controversy around them.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see it happening.
No chance.
Commodores.
F. No chance.
Eric B. and Rakim.
Gonna get in.
I think so. They're nominated right now?
Hmm.
I bet they get in this year, actually.
Yeah. They're a band that seems like it should have been like the first rap artist in, or one of the first like three. So I guess you could say it's a slight snub that they're not in, but I expect them to be in very soon.
We'll put them right there with Tribe. John Coltrane. I don't really know what the precedent is for jazz in the hall.
Is there any jazz artists in the Hall of Fame? Miles
Um,
Davis?
Miles might be in. I don't know. Uh,
He is. Or no, he's not. Oh, yes, he is. He was in there since 2006.
it's hard to say. Like really influential, and probably him and Miles are the most influential jazz artists on music outside of jazz. I would say,
Hmm.
like influencing rock and other things as well. Maybe you could make the case for Herbie Hancock too in that regard.
And to me, this is like a classic S because he should be in. He had enough influence. He had enough critical standing. He sold enough records. You know, he's the quintessential like jazz artist that should be in. Him and Miles should be no-brainers to me.
All right. I haven't heard anyone clamoring for him though. It doesn't seem to be
It's
like,
odd.
let's get John Coltrane in
I
there.
think the jazz people are above the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They're like the metal people. It's like they don't care. Has no effect on their mental well-being.
Eno, Brian Eno.
Should he be in? Yes. Will he get in? No. And I'm glad he's not in.
Um, that's a weird one. I could see him getting in. You don't think he'll get in?
I think he will as like a producer, more so as an artist, right?
Possibly.
But I mean, do they even like is can you only get in as a producer or an artist? You know, like aren't they linked somehow? Like it
Yeah,
all goes into like the overall resume.
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, they could have split it up for Todd too. I think he got in as an artist.
Hmm.
Um,
As an artist, it's an F. As a overall music person, it's probably like an S. So I don't know.
yeah, I guess an okay way to put it. People love his ambient stuff. Apparently, very influential.
Ambient has can have their own Hall of Fame. It's not in the Rock Hall of Fame.
Just like a room full of pillows.
Yeah.
De La Soul.
I think their case is a little bit less. Well, is it more? I always forget their discography if they broke up early or if they've been around. And A Tribe Called Quest is the one that broke up early.
I don't think either of them have huge discographies, do they?
De La Soul is a little larger. They didn't break up quite as quickly. They got 3 Feet High and Rising. and De La Soul's dead, and some other stuff that I don't know. Okay, I put them on the same level as Tribe Called Quest and Eric B. Like I think they're a pillar of rap.
In excess.
Good band, not Hall of Fame worthy.
I agree. You don't get in for having a handful of good 80s hits. Sorry. Joy Division.
Have to be on influence because it's certainly not on talent or like number of hits or anything other than critics love them and love the music that influenced. But I mean, was the music they even influenced that popular, or is it again just a critical like circle jerk?
Yeah, it's a critical circle jerk. And they only made, what, 2 albums?
Yeah. F them.
Mariah Carey.
She's getting in.
You think this year?
Foregone
She's
conclusion.
nominated, right?
Yeah. If not this year, then soon. I think she will be like part of the first wave of like the next wave of pop that starts getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Question is, will she play All I Want for Christmas Is You at the induction ceremony?
Maybe if it's near the holiday. I'm not sure when it is. I don't think it's a snub, but I think it's getting in. So it's like a B maybe. I don't know. C.
I think D.
Hmm.
I don't really see why she needs to go in. Um, MC5. They were
They had
nominated.
zero good albums and one incredible song recorded poorly.
I, it's interesting because like you see videos of like the MC5 back in the day, and it's like so like electrifying and awesome. But like I agree, like listening to them,
The Nobody translated worse onto a record than MC5. They just totally messed all that up. Uh,
they've been nominated. I don't know how many times. I think quite a few, and have not broken through. So
well, I don't think they're making it at this point, and they probably shouldn't be. But they do have that one really great song.
I kind of agree. I'd say D. Outkast. They're gonna get in eventually. Are they nominated?
Um, no, surprisingly, maybe are they eligible yet?
Yeah, they're eligible. What time? What year did their first record came out?
94, maybe 92.
It was 25 years since your first release.
94 was their first one.
Yes, they've been eligible for
They
a
definitely
little while.
should get in. I guess it would be a slight snub at this point since they're not in, but they're still, I mean, rap is such a backlog that I think they're just on their way to getting in a couple of years.
I agree. D, C,
Either one's fine.
Jethro Tull. To me, this is like a bigger snub than Procol Harum. To me, they are like an A tier prog rock.
Yeah. I would
So
say this is one of the bigger snubs.
yeah, like back when I used to look at all the snubs and you'd see like Rush and Roxy Music and whatever. Like I would have expected Jethro Tull to go off the board before Roxy Music.
Hmm.
Surprised they haven't yet. It's probably the damn flute keeping them out. Pixies,
I can't believe they're not in.
same.
I feel like if they hadn't come back, they'd probably be in.
That might be true. Yeah,
But hey, we both like the new stuff decently, right?
yeah.
Pretty good. Indie Cindy, underrated. Um, I mean, I think they should be in before bands like Nirvana and stuff like that. Maybe not. That's a dumb say. Cut that out.
No, no, I
Um,
agree. They should absolutely should have been.
they didn't sell enough records, I guess.
I mean, it's us, right?
Hmm.
Smashing Pumpkins.
I put them with the other 90s alternative band
Really?
snub. I think so, right?
I guess I kind of think they are more like an A tier, but
Okay, put
yeah.
them on A tier. It's fine.
Soundgarden. That Soundgarden I would put with STP and Alice in Chains.
Sure.
Smiths.
S. Insane that they're not in.
Thin Lizzy.
People are gonna hate this, but I don't think they're worthy of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just based on their discography. Influence, I guess the twin guitar attack and unmetal and everything else, but I don't know. I guess I'd go like C or D.
I'd go C, so we'll go C. Iron Maiden.
S. The
S.
pillar of metal. I mean, if
Yeah.
anybody should be in, it's got to be Maiden.
LaBelle.
F.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. Is Patti LaBelle solo in?
I don't even know.
I mean, I would think she would go in before LaBelle as a band.
You'd think
Right,
so.
right. The Replacements.
They have even a single hit in America.
I think so.
I don't know.
Pixies don't really either, though, to be fair.
That's true. Ugh. I don't know. C.
C or B, yeah.
It's fine. Either one's fine.
Mary J. Blige.
I don't know.
I mean, I think
I think she'll get in.
less than these hip hop acts, probably less than Outkast. So
I don't think so.
I think D or low C.
Yeah, it's
D.
fine.
White Stripes. I mean, they're shooing eventually, right? Are they nominated this
Yes.
year?
They're the only band from their era that matters, I guess. They're not nominated this year, but I kind of think a couple years.
Yeah, I don't
They
feel
were, they
like
were a snub this year, apparently, according to
for not being
online.
for not being nominated.
Yeah.
They're gonna get in though. I don't feel like it's a major snub at this point.
First year of eligibility. So
Yeah, we'll put them in if they're gonna get in. Toots and the Maytals.
is reggae a thing that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will allow into its
Is Bob
hallowed hall?
Marley in? Bob Marley's probably in, right?
Oh yeah, Bob Marley's in, but he might be the only one.
Yeah, I don't know. People do love Toots. He was at Newport one year when I was there, and people were going crazy. But I don't think so. Motorhead.
Probably not. Oh, I think probably like a D.
D. I'm shocked that you're saying that. I was thinking more like an A or a B.
Uh, it's tough. I mean, I only know like two albums, and like they were cool and all, like Lemmy Rules, but I don't know. They're down on the list for metal for me.
We'll go C then. Sonic Youth.
Hmm, it's tough. They're probably gonna get in, right?
Maybe eventually. I don't know though.
And I hope not. I really hope not.
Maybe C also.
All right, sure.
King Crimson. Shockingly not in.
That's got to be an S. That's got to be one of the bigger snubs, if not the biggest.
Slayer.
Slayer's probably just too hardcore to get in.
Yeah. I well, I mean, I could see them maybe getting in someday, but
I'd say D or C.
the Guess Who?
You love them. I
Love them.
put him in F for shouldn't be in and won't get
Fine.
in.
I feel like maybe some of the B's need to go up to A. Because our A is looking oddly small.
Yes, yes it is.
We could do, we could actually maybe shift. the whole top part from like B52s through De La Soul up, and then
Okay,
shift some of this up, and then make our D tier a little smaller. I think our D tier is too big.
that's fine.
This. And then Sparks, we were kind of on the fence about. Replacements can go up. They can go up. They can go up. Maybe Outkast goes up. And the other ones stay.
Cool. Maybe just take the most influential of their genre, move them up. And
Buzzcocks go up.
anything else?
Procol Harum maybe can go up. Slayer. You said C or D, so
Yeah, sure. I mean, what about Graham? I mean, are we still talking snubs or
I just don't think he's that much of a snub. I don't know.
fair enough? Fair enough.
I don't see him ever getting in. Blur Oasis, move them up.
I put well, Blur was around first. Oasis probably has a better chance of getting in. Like eventually somebody has to get in from the 2000s,
We can move.
2010.
Let's move all of these ones up. These are the ones we were kind of like saying they were influential.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll leave it there.
You could
Unless
move
there's any
television up to B, maybe. Make it a little more
television
even.
up.
Yeah. Maybe drop MC5 to F. Just so there we go. It looks better that way. I hate when there's one on its own line.
I got to consider formatting. So there you go.
Yep. More important than anything else.
All right, let us know how we did there, what you think, who are the biggest snubs still not in the Hall of Fame, what tiers you would put all of these artists on. You can drop it in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, check the video description for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Check it all out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.